One of the things that was interesting post-divorce was that idea of having to get naked in front of somebody again. I had found myself in the gym, I'd found myself in the best shape of my life, so why was I still having some negative self-talk, some limiting beliefs around who I was or what I looked like, and how did I get through it? Today's expert is going to help us when it comes to food and body image and finding that self confidence that we all deserve to have. So let's get started. Welcome to the Crazy Ex Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process. Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica, and today we're joined by Marla Mervis-Hartmann. Now, Marla is a coach and author. She is an expert in helping you rewire your relationship with food and body image. And Marla, I am ready to have this conversation today. So welcome to the
Let's do
show.
it.
Absolutely. I loved finding your website, right? Kind of exploring love your body, love yourself. When we can really just love who we are, this shell of our human form, it really transforms all the other areas of our life. And what I was starting to say, we'll start with a deep confession. I'm sitting in a place of not being so in love with where I physically stand. Life got stressful. I stopped the gym. I found a partner. I put on those 15 pounds from eating out and drinking and having fun. And I didn't have the hours to be in the gym that I did before. And it has been a journey to love and accept myself exactly where I'm at. So I am willing to share the dirty secrets that run in my mind right now as we talk through our conversation today. So hopefully you're ready to do a little live coaching on me and
Let's
helping people break
yeah,
through
let's
this.
jump into that. I think that's a great place to start. And I just all that you shared in that little snippet,
Yeah.
and I think that happens for a lot of people, women who get divorced. They get in the best shape of their lives. They just show up for themselves. It's like this whole brand new life. And along with that, there's that can be stimulated by fear, right? I'm
Yeah.
going to be seen again. My body's going to
Mhm.
be seen, and there can be a lot of fear that triggers that. However, from where you sit, you've had that experience of getting in the best shape of your life, I think you said, and
Mhm.
now you're here 15 pounds later in
Yeah.
relationship, busy life, and there's so many things I could say about that. One of them is that we have seasons in our life and our bodies will follow suit with that season.
Mm.
And when we lose weight, we often think that I know for me, I think, oh my gosh, how am I going to keep this?
100%.
And then when we've gained weight, there's that feeling of, oh, I'm going to be here forever. I'm disgusting. I'm
Mm.
gross. And
Mhm.
there are cycles in life and there are seasons in life. And so here you are in this new season, and
Yeah.
you get to decide what part of that experience do you want to bring in and what part is not realistic,
Yeah.
like spending as much time at the gym, like you said. It's maybe not going to happen. And yet, where are you actually out of alignment? Because
Mhm.
we can blame it on our bodies, and we can blame our bodies and say, I look disgusting, I'm gross, but it's actually the behavior, the experience with ourselves, how we're treating ourselves, how we're listening to ourselves, that is really the rub underneath that. The body just shows up as the mirror.
It was definitely like that. I was at my heaviest when I found out that my now ex didn't wanna be married anymore and went from 150 to 117 in about a month.
Whoa.
Like,
Oh
not
my
eating,
gosh.
like, I couldn't eat. I
Right.
had never been so incredibly stressed and shut down in my life that, like, half an apple made me nauseous, 2 bites
Mhm.
of chicken breast, and so what I committed to was I was like, "Alright, this was the biggest diet I ever went on. I'm gonna build it back appropriately." And so I went to the
Mhm.
gym, and I started lifting, and I started working out, and I got to that really healthy weight. I felt really good at 130. Clothes shopping was so fun. I felt cute and confident and flirtatious, right? And I had found a pattern, was in the gym 4 to 5 hours a week, 4 to 5 days a week. I had a dog, I walked all the time, I was hiking all the time, where I landed 250-pound back squat, 275-pound deadlift, like huge weights. And even at that point, I was like, "Oh, I feel too bulky," or, "Oh, I feel this." And so, you jump forward X number of years in relationship where I don't have the hours to do it, and we don't eat like I used to eat. And it has been a journey to now take those same practices of, can I love me the way I am right now? Can I see the beauty for what it is? Can I bring back the pieces that feel good? We're on like 2 months right now of baby workouts. It's like one Olympic lift, one heavy lift, 20 minutes of some sort of cardio with weights and trying to get my steps. And that feels really realistic, but it still is always an internal dialogue where I have to remember to cue myself and check it out in the start of the day. I'm like, "Hey, we're looking good today. We're
Yep.
going to do this," and reset one day at a time.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I think one of the pieces you brought up that is important is that we can get very thin. We can get to a weight that we think is
Yeah.
miraculous and so alive. It's so life-giving. And that's when we can realize that it has nothing to do with our bodies when those voices show up. So I was the sickest I had ever been mentally when I was the thinnest, when I thought I was going to be in that space of hallelujah, I'm here, I've made it. And I remember jumping on the scale and looking and being, I just started bawling my eyes out because I was so miserable. I was just miserable, miserable. So there is an addiction that happens with dieting, and you see it all over the place. I mean, diet culture is an addiction. It feeds us. We're trying to not smoke a cigarette and we're hanging out with people who smoke cigarettes, right? So we're in this world of diet culture wanting to be healthy and then going on Instagram and looking at all the diets and the people and they're thin and they're airbrushed and all of that. So it's so important to realize, well, what are we bringing? What are we bringing mentally to this whole package?
Yeah. And that was such a journey to be at peace with what my body looks like then, now, in the future. And it isn't by changing what it looks like, which was a really interesting lesson. I had the gift of, yeah, I did get in the best shape of my life. And oh, I did fall in love with it when it was like looking amazing post divorce. And those same practices still apply no matter what shape or fitness level I'm in, right? It's those little self reflections and it's the catching the times when I am negative about myself, when I am like, oh, that just doesn't look good. Or more importantly, I don't feel comfortable in what I'm wearing right now. I don't feel confident in what I'm wearing right now. And I had to take some specific steps to rework that. So, on your side and in your experience, what are some of those things that people can do? If they got that negative, judgmental self talk going all the time, our first advice is not like, okay, great, go to the gym and get on the treadmill and run until you lose weight. That's, in my opinion, not where you start. You start with the conversation inside first.
Yeah, I think that the tool that has the most leverage is how we speak to ourselves. If we're speaking negative to ourselves and we're putting ourselves down, what we're doing is we are taking action from shame. So if you've had that big binge, if you've had that big overeating, if you've had that moment where you have that aha of I'm not comfortable in my body, And what we do at that step, like the step that you're in right now, like there may be those moments where it's like, oh, I don't like what I feel like. And so what do we do with that? We have to slow down and say, is that true? Is this okay? Am I okay here? And I just want to go to condemnation towards myself. Or is my body literally saying, I'm not comfortable here? This doesn't feel good. And sometimes our body will give us these cues and these clues. And yet it's not about dieting. However, it may be about the food. Because if you're emotionally eating, if you're overeating and you're not feeling your feelings, but but then again, it's still not about the food because we have to deal with the emotions here. So we're always getting ourselves back to a place of calm, like in any situation. We have to bring ourselves back to reality rather than going into a shame spiral and then creating a huge plan about how you're going to execute some diet and fitness regime that you're not going to do because you created it in the shame cycle.
Yeah. Or because you're like, "Oh my gosh, okay, so I need to lose 1 pound a week, which means I need to cut this many calories," and now all of a sudden you're weighing everything and you're calculating everything and you're controlling, 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 and what it's creating is more stress instead of being able to listen to your body, instead of being able to lean into it. And that eating thing, ooh, such a big one. That was another thing. I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew everybody kinda has some emotional eating habits, like, I knew we
Mm.
something good happened. What happened? We got, like, a treat. We got fast food or we got a cookie or we got
Yeah.
something.
Right.
Grandmas love to feed you cookies and treats and everything else, so it was, like, wired. Sweets and happiness were wired together, but I didn't realize how much I was using it until in that separation process. Actually, it was after. So divorce process, I got into one of the meal eating shake things, and you did a detox and did a 24-hour cleanse once a month. In the first few months that it would happen, you start out okay. Wasn't about being hungry, but at some point during the day, I would have a massive meltdown, like sobbing on the floor. All of this other emotion would come out. And the more I did it, so I'd only did it one fast, one day a month. All of a sudden, the breakdowns happened later in the day and later, and then all of a sudden they weren't happening. And I was like, okay, there really were quite a few subconscious ties going between this eating and being able to say, okay, I don't want to deal with my feelings right now and something feels uncomfortable. So I'm going to reach for something to feel good again, shopping or eating, the two habits that I had, and having to break them.
And that's not easy. It is
No.
not easy, and it's not easy to even figure out what we're upset about. My disordered eating experience didn't come from this huge trauma. It came from continually choosing food over dealing with my emotions. So it became the coping mechanism. And I believe we all have a coping mechanism. And for those who choose food or choose dieting, it can be like, well, nothing's wrong in my life. And yet, there is the stress of life. And there are old patterns, old behaviors, old wiring that we have from family, from maybe big T trauma, little T trauma, where we're brought up in an environment that maybe we didn't get our needs met, but then we had that sugar, and then that got coded in our brain that sugar meant relief. Because let's face it, it does create relief. It does the job until it doesn't anymore. And so with my clients, we're talking about the stuff that you and I are talking about right now, but we're really looking under the hood to see where did this start? What is the connection? Because there's so many people who are dealing with this just what do you even call it? Like just like a dark kind of shadow over them. They don't even realize that they're in it because everyone around them is in that diet experience. So it becomes normalized. And then when it usually someone gains weight, then it's like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore." And for a lot of those people, this has been going on cyclically at different times in their life, or it's always been here and they're sick of fighting it. And we can't fight We can't fight our food in order to get peace. We can't control our food in order to get freedom. We have to go underneath and figure out, where did food come in as a substitute for love? Where did food come in as the way that we rebel? I mean, that's a big one.
Oh, it's a
Or
huge one. That's why I
yes.
used to eat ice cream, and I finally figured when I figured that one out, because I was like, "Why do I wanna I just worked out. Why am I all of a sudden, like, raging? I'm so pissed. Screw this. I'm gonna go eat something." And I was like, "Oh, because you literally are, like, turning that hate back on yourself." Like, I was undermining all of the things I was doing without even knowing it. There was a subconscious, "You don't deserve this. You shouldn't have this. This can't be this
Mm.
easy." And so there was an emotional tie underneath it that once I figured it out, I could reflect and say, "Okay, do you really wanna eat that? Or is there an emotion that's asking to be seen?"
Ah, beautiful. That's great. So, shall we talk more about the rebel?
Yeah,
How that shows up? Okay.
yeah.
I've done a couple different videos on my YouTube, so if you wanna dive deeper into that, go check that out. So, the rebel shows up in different ways. So, for me, how it showed up is, I always wanted to get it right. I was the wanted to be the perfect little one, make sure everyone liked me. I wanted to eat all my food perfect. And so, the way that I could get that rebel in my whole life was to rebel with my food. Like, I'm gonna eat that. I don't care. I'm gonna shove that in my mouth. No one's gonna see me, but I'm gonna. And it was a way to act out. We all have, in our subconscious, we have these archetypes that we want to play out, but they don't feel safe enough. So when we're angry, we turn that onto ourselves. When we want to rebel, we rebel with food. I rebelled with food. And that shows up for a lot of people. It's like, I don't want to do it perfectly. This is no. And then the other way the rebellion shows up is, and I'll use this example, with a lot of young girls who are struggling with anorexia. And I work at a rehab center here in Maui, a recovery center. And there are a lot of young girls there. And it's the way they can control their life. And a lot of that shows up because their external environment can't be controlled, and their parents are telling them what to do. And the one thing they have control over is what they put in their mouth. And so it's that silent rebellion. They're not going to yell, but they're going to turn it in, and it's kind of like an FU.
On that note, because I think that's also a concern for a lot of moms as they have daughters as they're navigating divorce. I remember there's a moment my mom said it to me. So I have a son and he was young, 4 or 5, and he was not behaving. So I took like the brand new ice cream that we had just bought and I melted it in the sink because I was like, "We're not doing this. You're throwing a fit. We're out of control. I didn't know what else to do." And my mom came back and she's like, "You need to not do that because he's gonna have an eating disorder." So her concern was very much around there's so much out of control for him that he might show up and have an issue. And he didn't. He ate lots of fruit and he's growing and thriving and all of that. But I think that it's worth noting that if you, especially with teenagers and daughters, that there is so much cultural pressure already. And so as they're looking at the unknown of divorce and where so much is out of their control, to just be aware that that's one of the things that comes up. And so if they are concerned for their teenage daughter, are there signs they can look for, or are there things that they can give their daughter control over so that maybe is alleviated?
That's beautiful. I think the way that we can be with that is to not wait until we see signs, but sit down with our children and say, this is what is happening. The world is going to tell you that your body is not good enough. The world is going to say that you need to diet. And during this time where things are a little wobbly, just be careful on what you're using to find control. If it's food or what you look like or something else, it could be something else. And a lot of people think, well, food is very benign. But I haven't had that experience. I mean, it's not drugs and alcohol. I get that and what that can do, but it creates such havoc mentally, and there are so many suicides from anorexia and eating disorders. It's so high.
Yeah. It's such a sleeper issue because it isn't drugs and alcohol. It's food. We need it. We have to eat. And so we're able to mask and hide a lot of the unhealthy patterns that for a lot of us, we just manage. Like another one that came up, my rebelling. I guess I'm still rebelling. I'm still the rebel over here. You have a really intense day. So as I'm building this business, as we just launched the club membership this summer, right? With the launch of a new community and a new membership is a lot of building the community and building sales pages and all of these calls and all of this stuff. And I would get to the end of the day and I'd be so tired. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to eat healthy tomorrow. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do all the things. We'd get up the next day. Things would get a little stressful. And I'd be like, screw it. I'm gonna go out to eat and I'm gonna have a couple cocktails with my food. And once I have a cocktail, then I want a cookie and then I want something else, right? And so I would almost like, I run my own day. I can reschedule my day. I can do what I want to do. And I was using food and alcohol because I just wanted to feel good. And it took a while for me to realize it. And it took longer for me to rewire it because that desire to just feel good and feel happy and feel okay again versus stressed and heavy and under the weight of all this pressure, that was the easiest thing to find. And once I realized that, then I could start to finally change my behaviors.
May I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what part of that choosing to go out and reschedule, was that connected to fear of success? Fear of showing up? Was
Yeah.
that connected at all?
It was when I finally got into it, I was like, it's actually tied to a fear of failure, so if I never really finish it, if
Very,
it
yes.
never really launches, it can't fail. So if you're
Mhm.
constantly in a thing of, "I'm building and it's being created and it's coming out soon," nobody can tell you it didn't work because it's not done
Right.
yet. And
Yes.
so yeah, so being able to sit in that and be like, "All right, you're hiding. You're hiding." And
Mm.
yes, you wanna feel happy. Okay, so what are some of the other ways that you feel happy again? Because you know it's like a roller coaster. All of a sudden, the desire, the craving is so big. But if I go for a walk, if I read a book, do a dance, listen to something, it goes away. And so I was like, "Okay, it's not that's not really the thing you want." There is something being driven underneath it, and if we can get to what's driving it, we can stop it. Because it beginning of summer, I was supposed to, like, detox. Supposed to do, like, a 90-day, 3-month detox to reset my
Ugh.
GI system at the start of summer. We went out and we live in a small town and we know all the bartenders and they're like, "Well, you're about to have a fun summer." It's like summer, like cocktail happy hour, and it was like a month of anti-inflammation, a month of I had SIBO, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, so I
I
needed to
have
do a
had
month
that
of
issue.
killing it off, and I needed to do a month of repair, and I got 3 weeks in, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've been doing this forever." And I was like, "Well, I hadn't been." But that emotional aspect of it hadn't been acknowledged or met yet
Mhm.
versus a week ago, 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden I was like, "I'm done. It's not worth it. It's not worth the hassle to rebuild. It's not worth the delays. It's not worth all the other things." And I can tap into that happiness and that joy without needing the other pieces.
Wow. That's really big. And what you're sharing with everyone is the way to go in and see what is here. And sometimes we can do that on our own. Sometimes we're not able to because we're so in it, we can't see it. It's so hard to even figure out what is this thing that is holding me? What is this thing? And sometimes to let go of the food completely and say, no, we're not going out. We're not getting drinks. We're not having the cookie is too much of an extreme. And the reason it's too much of an extreme, it puts us back into diet mode. And what we want is there is the road that has the overeating, the indulgence, the extravagance, that part of our living. And then the other side is this diet. this experience of dieting and controlling and no, I'm not going to have that. And no, I'm going to figure it out. And we want the third road. We want the road where there is indulgence and there's even understanding of the part of us that needs to feel cared for when we're working so hard. You were working so hard. And had you said, okay, we're not going to go out, we're going to go for a walk. And then when we get back, we are going to have something really decadent. And we're going to do it consciously and we're going to do it as reward, because when we give ourselves reward with food or whatever it is, and we have shame around it, it doesn't actually work. It doesn't kick in that dopamine. And then we blame what the action, but it's actually where our mindset is when we're in that action. So when we tell ourselves, this is a beautiful thing, this is a really lovely act, like, and really mean it. If you know in the back of your head, you're like, I really shouldn't be doing this, then don't do it, right? But that's the thing. We have to know ourselves and be willing to know ourselves and be willing to listen.
If you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted from overthinking, and stuck in uncertainty, this message is for you. You don't have to keep feeling that way. Inside the club, you'll find a safe space to rediscover who you are, clarify what you want, and determine how you want to move forward. Surrounded by women who truly understand and guided by expert support, you are not alone on this journey. Join us at thecrazyexwivesclub.com/the club. It's time to reclaim your life. Another subconscious story that used to run was, I already gave up so much. Why do I have to give up more? How come I have to still try harder or do more? Or like that moving into that, I call it like the pouty face. Like sometimes I just tell my family, I'm like, I have my pouty pants on. I know this, but I'm just kind of in a
In
mood
it.
right now. And that used to come up a lot. Like, I already gave up so much. Why don't I get to eat what I want to eat right now or drink what I want to drink right now?
And how did you get yourself out of that?
I realized, let's think about that one. The biggest part was just being like, okay, pouty pants are on. This is not real. Taking that pause and slowing down, because when I could slow down, to the story you just shared, I realized that shoveling in sweets, which was like cookies were always my thing, or my partner's thing is chocolate. And good Lord, there's so much chocolate in the house again. And I don't even like chocolate. And I find myself shoveling it in. Right. And so I would slow down and I'd take one bite and I'd say, okay, does this actually taste good? Does my body want this? And I'd be like, it doesn't really taste like anything. Oh, then it's not the food thing. It's not the ingredients that I'm craving. And that I could then start to shift, right? I started to look at, okay, so instead of all the things you can't eat right now because of the SIBO, because of the whatever we're trying to reset, what do you have? What can you add back in? And the same held true for, okay, I've cut out all this stuff. There's no fries. I'm always eating salads. There's no bread. There's no. And I was like, hey, what do you want to put back in? How about if we put in a few more thousand steps every day? Because I work at home in an office and I don't get very many unless I actively try. How about if we put back in going to the gym and doing a little bit of lifting because that felt really good in my body? What can we put back in instead of constantly trying to take away and restrict? And that helped me shift that, like, oh, I already gave up so much. Well, I'm really happy with where I'm at. I'm content with where I'm at. So did I give up that much? Because I like where I'm at because of what I went through. So it's those little pieces, right, that layer in to help you tell that story of what's fueling you.
Yeah, and that pouty face, as you call it, I call I call mine the helpless Marla. She's helpless. She's just so helpless. She
Yeah.
can't get it right.
Yeah.
I have that. I was playing with that earlier this week.
Right? Shows up, and then we just go, "Oh, that's what it is."
And I think we don't wanna make that part of us wrong. There's a story here. There's a reason. So when I'm in that space, it's getting information from that part of me. What do you need? Why do you feel this way? That layer of compassion for pouty face and getting her to realize what is actually true. We have this and we have this and we actually want to do this, right? It's changing I have to I get to. Like these are choices because it's such a like that statement that you said is it's such a young statement. Like I don't wanna, right? Like when we have those, we realize that it's a younger part of us that is acting out rather than the part of us that can see and actually take action in the way that we want.
Mhm. Yeah. It is quite the journey. And I know you mentioned you had did you have something else about the teenage daughters that you wanted to share?
Yes. I just want to share about teenage daughters that the biggest thing that we can do to support them is to clean up our own relationship with our body and food and how we speak about ourselves. Are we dieting? Are we talking about dieting? Are we encouraging them with their weight? Are we telling them that they look good because they lost weight? Are they getting approval and acknowledgement because of their weight? When they do lose weight and they get acknowledgement from other people, we need to step in that moment and say, you know, your worth has nothing to do with the fact that you lost weight. If you gain 10 pounds right now, you are still beautiful and you're still worthy, and it doesn't matter. Now, the issue is that society does tell us it matters. And we are living in a world where thin privilege is real and alive. And so we can't for ourselves and for our children think that if we just check on them to see if they're okay. No, we have to be proactive. We have to insert our positivity and that we can't do that if we're not settled, we're not straight on this. Now, what we can do though is if we're literally having challenges, we can be honest about that. This is what I deal with. This is what I do. You feel this way? It's so uncomfortable. I'm working on it. Not from that place of even making yourself wrong, but like just letting them know that what you're doing isn't quite right. Like, don't model me here.
Right? And we all say it. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, because my son will be like, oh, are you doing a weird eating thing again? Are you like not allowed to do these things? And I had to be like, oh, yeah, wait. I'm choosing to fuel my body differently. Like my body doesn't like it. And giving myself the permission to slow down enabled me to really listen to what it likes or doesn't like. And so it's even right now, I do not like the taste of meat. Sometimes it's fine, and sometimes it tastes so like, I would say it tastes rancid, and I'll have somebody else eat it, and they're like, "Nope, tastes totally normal." And I was like, "Yep, there is something shifting, like, it doesn't want it." And so when you slow down instead of shoveling, you can pick up on those cues, and so, like, today I had some hummus and some gluten-free crackers and smoothie, and I was delightfully happy. It didn't have to have meat and bread and all these other things that sometimes our systems crave because there is an emotional connection to them. And so it is in that gift of slowing down. And the other thing I always remind like my son too. So my son, neither of his parents are 6 feet tall. He will not be 6 feet tall. Everybody wants to be 6 feet tall, right? He's also a year younger than everybody in his grade. So growth spurts are hitting a little later than all of his friends. And so we talked a lot about no one got to choose their body. No one got to choose their eye color or their hair color or their shape or their weight. It is the package that we were given to walk this human lifetime in. And part of that lesson is learning how to love the car that we're in, right? Our body is a car. There's different makes and models all over, and people have different preferences, and each one runs a little different or needs a little different maintenance. And so, how do we love and accept ourselves exactly as we are? Because when we do, then we treat it different. We move different, we dress different, we feed it different. All the rest of the things line up instead of forcing, I have to feed you different so you look different. I like you the way you
Then I can
are.
love you.
Yes. And so it's backwards, right? I love you the way you are. And now I start eating different. And so now I feel different in my body. And so then I start wearing different clothing, and all of it gets you to exactly where you want to be. And sometimes your body weight or image or whatever never changes, but you do. You fall in love with it.
I think when we're at the weight that we are are supposed to be, that our body's happy with, and that
Yeah.
changes, at
Yeah.
different times in our life, or we have a certain, weight where we feel comfortable.
Mhm.
We do feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
And and I always look at, okay, there's liking and there's loving.
Mhm.
So you may not like what your body looks like, but we still need to show up with love.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with partnership.
Yeah.
We may not like what our partner is doing and how they're showing up,
Mhm.
or even our children, but we love them. We adore them,
Yep.
but yeah, and it's the same with our body. So when we have that distinction of like, I don't like what I see right now. I'm not happy with this.
Yep.
And and how am I going to show up with love for my body?
Yeah.
The piece that you were sharing about God gives us a gift of this body. And the truth is that body image and negative body image does not discriminate on size. You may have someone who is super thin and can be insane in her head. That was me. I've had a body that has been, born thin and healthy. And a lot of people would say, I can't even believe, I don't even understand because you have a body that I'd like. And I'm like, well, I'm not making it up. I'm crazy in there. And so it didn't matter what I looked like because my worth was connected to it in such a warped way. And there was so much rewiring and unlearning and relearning to set myself up to get into the reality of what was here.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It is definitely a journey, and some days, even now, like some days when things don't feel or look the way I want them to, I just remind myself like, well, this is just today and tomorrow can look completely different. Maybe I'm just swollen. Did I eat out last night or did I have some sugar or did some your body is always changing. And so it was letting go of the desperate need to return to being the fittest and instead be like, what feels good? What kind of movement do I want? Do I miss going to the gym? And I was like, I do. I do not miss 250 pounds on that bar. I am really loving, like, what am I even at? 91, 135 pounds. And I'm like, that's delightful. I have zero desire to go up from this. This feels good. I feel strong. I feel like I'm working on what I need to work on. I'm seeing some results because I'm muscular and it changes quickly, but I'm not doing it because I have to get somewhere. I'm doing it because I got really tired of things being heavy again. I was like, oh, life used to be so much easier when I moved my body more, when I did more things with it. That shift has enabled me to stick with it instead of a punishment. It's a joyful thing that I get to go experience.
Yeah, and you had that experience of being on that other side and feeling somewhat healthy. I mean, you shared a little bit of some weird mind stuff around it, but for the
I
most
was.
part, you were listening,
Yeah,
and now you're over. So you get to curate your life right now.
yeah.
You get to take pieces and decide.
Mhm.
And when we know that we're empowered to do that, when we know that we can make change, it changes everything. It's just
Yeah,
when we're literally out of control and our food feels out of control.
right. Yeah, and when we try and use that as the one thing we can control. Because if you're sitting in a space where you are judging yourself, I was at my best. I was super fit, you guys, and I still was like, "Oh, I have a little belly pooch," or, "Oh, my arms are still too big," or, "Oh, they have the choice of dating 20-year-olds who never had kids, and here I am at 37 with a kid," and, it didn't stop those thoughts from showing up. I had to choose to not lean into them and not believe them and be like, "You know what? That's a little crazy." And it's funny now I sit and I look back at those pictures when I used to be like, you could do more." And now I'm like, wouldn't it be so nice? Wouldn't it be so nice?" And we always have that ability. And so then I just extend a lot of grace to myself in those moments. "Remember how hard you were? Wasn't worth it, was it? You felt beautiful then and you can feel beautiful now, and there are these moments where it bubbles through and it's glorious, and I did go treat myself to new pants because putting on extra tight pants every day only made me feel more unhappy with what
Of
was happening,
course.
and so
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, instead of waiting for the day that these fit again, I'm gonna go buy a couple new pairs of jeans. I'm gonna buy some new shorts, things that feel comfortable so that I don't always have a constant reminder of what's going on." But it was nothing about the scale. It was nothing about the size. It was everything about the internal dialogue. It's in the vault. It could come back out. I'll probably put it in the show notes, but and I'm sure Marla has some better programs for you, but I had written a 30-day mental detox. Like, how do you take 30 days to rewire the negative self-talk? It's called Stop the Body Bullshit, because you have to tell it to stop. It's not about working out or what you eat or whatever else. It's a feeling that you already have inside you. But Marla, what are some of the other places if someone's interested? Of course, you guys, all of her details are in the show notes. Her links, they're also on the Crazy Ex-Wives Club under episodes for you to read more about it. But if somebody is struggling with self-love when it comes to body and when it comes to food, why don't you tell listeners a little more about what you do or how they can get some help from your side of the woods?
Yeah. So I have been working with people for, gosh, maybe 10, 15 years now. I've been in the healing arts and the healing world for a long time. And when I finally healed my own relationship with my body and food and had learned so many different tools on how to heal myself, I realized, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. So my work, as I shared, is a deep dive into this. It's really looking at what is in the way and also realizing that we have so much more life to live. We have so much more joy that's available to us, and we're living in this place of ugh about ourselves. What a waste. What a waste. And so everything that you and I are talking about isn't for the sake of our bodies and us feeling good. It's for the sake of our life. It's for the sake of our families and how we show up. It changes everything. And so when we finally feel that freedom and feel like we have disordered eating or negative body image under control, it changes definitely our confidence and our sexuality and our willingness to show up at dates when we're, moving from one relationship to another. And so I have coaching programs, I have group programs. I wrote my book, which is called Befriend Yourself: Finding Freedom with Food and Peace with Your Body. So this is my story along with a lot of my client stories. And also, I would love to share with everyone my free course, which is called Breaking the Cycle of Emotional Eating, which is free, but it's a 7 video course and it has a lot of good nuggets in there for you.
I love it. I'm gonna have to go do it.
Yeah.
I wanna go pick it up. We're gonna do a refresh course. In fact, I'm kind of thinking while you were talking, I was like, we should have you do one of the monthly challenges in the club. So in the divorce community, we do like a 30-day challenge every month.
Oh,
And we should, because I was like, ooh, the holidays are around the corner. We start all our emotional eating. And so just got inspired. We're gonna have a fantastic little challenge with you in the club. So the club members can also slay those bad body thoughts floating around in their head and break any food habits that aren't serving them. I want to thank you, Marla. Again, you guys, all of her links to the book, to her website, her coaching programs, and that free training that she just mentioned are in the show notes, as well as on the crazyexwivesclub.com. If you're struggling with your thoughts or on what you look like, my homework for you this week is to just spend some time finding one aspect of who you are that you do love. When my weight is not ideal, one of the things I can still reflect on is I do really love the color of my eyes. So I'm like, okay, you really love your eyes. Great. That is one thing that I can unapologetically love and celebrate and say that is uniquely me and I love me for being me. So find that one thing, revel in how it feels all week, celebrate that aspect of yourself and know that the rewiring, the rest is on its way. And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.